on with the ceremony.
Hi, Christmas is over. Here's 5 games I really enjoyed this year.
It's number 5.
Hollow Knight. Okay, so this game is apparently more divisive than I initially thought when I started playing it. It was completely under the radar for me personally, until some of my friends started going like, hey, we're all buying Hollow Knight, so you're buying Hollow Knight, and then I wound up buying Hollow Knight. How many times can I say that until it starts sounding weird? Hollow Knight, Hollow Knight, Hollow Knight, Hollow Knight. Oh no, I kind of did it right there. And I've seen people and reviews that it's not their bag, it's not their cup of tea. And you know what? I respect the fuck out of you. If you don't like this game, that's fine with me, because I understand it's a bit of a niche. It's a Metroidvania that doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't really give you any clue what you have to do. Like the mushrooms. Yeah, these mushrooms. It took me so long to figure out that you can actually attack downwards and this causes you to bounce up. I got stuck in this game. I had to Google that in order to figure this one out. But really, I love this game. It's so bleak, it's so dark, it's so empty. It's a dreary experience from start to finish. It's a dying world, and in the end, the weirdest thing is, you're just a little insect. You're literally a little bug. You're like playing pretend in a grown-up world. Your weapon is a nail. Like a nail that people hammer into walls to hang up paintings. But the art style, the music, the atmosphere, I adore this. I adore everything about this. Its humor is so bleak and dark, and it's fantastic. And it's really hard. And I've seen people say this is the Dark Souls of Metroidvanias. And I don't like comparisons of like this game is the X of the games of X. But as far as I know, yeah, that's 100% what this is. You have to actively find the lore in this game. You have to do the work and, put in the effort to get to the points in the game you have to end up in. And you know what? For me personally, it tickles my fancy. Number 5, Hollow Knight.
Cut your number 4, please.
Octopath Traveler. Now, let me take you back to a day and age long gone by called my teenage years. Seeing as when you grow over time, your tastes in things change as well. But when I was younger, when I was like late teens, I was a huge mark for RPGs. Which is a dang shame because Nintendo decided that PAL regions weren't interested in any RPGs like your Chrono Triggers, your Earthbounds, or even your Super Mario RPGs. That's just criminal. But hey, we got Terranigma, and in my life I've done quite a few things. I moved across borders several times. I've had a job in which my hours were so hectic I couldn't keep a regular schedule, so my taste in gaming became more quick-fire paced, it became more casual. The Nintendo's DS and 3DS aided me in this taste development, giving me the ability to suspend my game at any moment I would like. So I never really got back into RPGs. Like the last main one I could think of was Barton Kaitos, The Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean. And then it moved around so much that I sold off my TV because I kept moving and I had no place to put it. I mean, I had a Wii U, but I didn't start playing it until 2 years after the dang thing came out. So imagine my surprise, my bewilderment, when Square Enix, of all people, announced a new classic RPG for the Nintendo Switch. Hey, I bought a Nintendo Switch. I own a TV. I own my own home. I can play this game and nothing can stop me. And play this game I did. Octopath Traveler is either a perfect throwback to old school RPGs or a new twist on it. giving you the ability to start off with any of 8 characters that fancy you, and while still having a turn-based RPG system, still had a battle mechanic that asked you to pay attention to what enemies were weak to what, so you had to plan whatever you were doing in the next turn. You couldn't just mash a couple of buttons hoping to get past. No, this shit got difficult real fast, real quick. Featuring a mix between 16-bit graphics in the lines of Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger and full-on HD effects. This is one game that's just beautiful to look at. A full immersive world filled with so many side quests. It can take you longer than the actual game itself. 8 individual storylines that either work for you or don't, and if a specific storyline is not your cup of tea, hey, no worries, a few hours later you'll be back playing with the character you do enjoy, and giving you stakes without having to invoke the end of the world. There's something about everything in Octopath that just drew me in. And like I said, while I have to admit not all protagonists were up my alley, the interaction they have with one another, even though it's through text-based skits, it all works for me, and they fleshed them out so magnificently. I can do nothing but recommend Octopath Traveler to anybody who loves old school RPGs. Because what's the best way to let a developer know that you enjoy something, rather than just going out there and buying it? So yeah, just get this game, and my god, listen to that music. Number 4, Octopath Traveler.
It's number 3.
Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Castlevania.
Have we talked about Castlevania before? Like, are you sure? What, check my phone?
Here we have what is probably my favourite franchise that isn't owned by Nintendo.
Okay, there's more?
Castlevania is my favourite video game franchise that isn't owned by Nintendo.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll just get on with the video.
So Koji Igarashi, you know, that Japanese game developer with the cowboy hat? Yeah, him. He's left Konami, #fuck Konami, and he's managed to run a successful Kickstarter campaign to have a game in development for one of his Metroidvanias called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Except one of the higher tier goals was that if they got enough funding, they would create another side game as a bonus. And seeing as that Kickstarter campaign was the most successful one of its kind before Shenmue 3 came along, well yeah, it's a given that this came out. But instead of a Metroidvania, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is a perfect throwback to Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. You know, they both got curse in the name, I just noticed. It takes all the good bits from that game, you know, the polished NES-style graphics, the incredible chiptunes, the branching paths, the multiple characters, the several ways you can finish a single stage. And it got rid of all the, you know, the bad bits, the insane difficulty that was only there because people didn't have much money to spend on games back in those days. And, well, yeah, that was actually the biggest problem with Castlevania 3. It's really fucking difficult. So it's insane to think of the fact that if that studio has managed to put out a game on the side that is the perfect Castlevania 3 sequel, not necessarily Castlevania sequel, that they are still having an upcoming game that people are looking forward to. Curse of the Moon has everything. It may be a little bit short, but it gives you every single bang for your buck that you asked for. And as a slight bonus, if you're not a die-hard Castlevania fan and you find these original games quite hard, you can slide the difficulty down and you can still experience the whole game. I had a blast. If Ritual of the Night is half as good as Curse of the Moon is in regards to regular platform Castlevanias, then my god, I'll be happy I'd back that. I may have gotten Curse of the Moon for free, but I believe that it's worth every penny when you download it. Number 3, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon.
to number 2.
Ho 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 ho! You knew this one had to be in here somewhere. If Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is not in somebody's Game of the Year list, either they've not played it, or they are just really not into Nintendo stuff. Fuck! Even people that don't like Nintendo stuff are into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And admittedly, I am not a huge Super Smash Bros. Fan. I only played Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64 with my neighbour. I never owned Melee because, well, I just never got around to buying it. I really did like Brawl and the Subspace Missionary, that was just fantastic. But, you know, the 3DS and the Wii U version, that I played both for a while and I've owned both, but they never really grabbed me. But the moment I saw this trailer, the moment it said, everyone is here, and they showed Solid Snake. Wait, no, really, everybody? Yeah, because even Pichu is back. Who asked for Pichu? Everyone is back. The hype was real. I got gripped and I got gripped hard. Blimey, I made 2 videos about 10 characters I would like to see in this series. And even though I've only gotten the 1 and 8 Simon Belmont, and we're still getting DLC characters though, and Piranha Plant and Joker from Persona 5 have options, so anybody's on the bloody table. But enough talk about the characters, let's talk about the game. Even though playing the characters is most of the game, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's got the largest roster in the entire series, obviously speaking. All characters have been polished up so they feel brand new. I mean, try playing Ganondorf nowadays. He's gotten tweaks. They changed up classic mode so that not everybody's just facing a random bunch of enemies in a random pattern. No, you actually got a specific set of characters you have to beat as a single specific character you're playing with. It shows that they put a lot of thought into that this time around. The spirits and the spirit board have added a great amount of replayability in a bit, with over 1,000 at the moment, you know, to collect instead of trophies and stickers. Having to go up against some of these is just absolutely horrifying. And you know what? I love it to death. And the attention to detail they've gone into that. You know, just the abilities and, you know, the characters they represent. It's all just been like, somebody had to sit down and think of this and then program it into the game. Well, maybe not, they're not all the same person, but you know what I mean. And speaking of Spirits, Spirits has got a single player mode. It's got an adventure mode. Something that was sorely lacking in the 3DS/Wii U versions. And even though it can't match up with Subspace Missionary of Light, and it's not quite what I personally wanted out of a first player experience, World of Light is at least a great addition, and the mere fact it's in the game is already a bonus. And the fact that it is so much longer than it initially appears, they pull the rug underneath from you several times over and increase the length of the game. That's not a spoiler, by the way. That's just me saying there's like little sub areas you can explore that you can't see on the world map. You know, just FYI. And even though I'm not a fan of Cloud being in Super Smash Bros., I'm wildly opposed to Joker because Joker's never been on a Nintendo console either. You know what? I'm gonna concede. Everybody's joining Super Smash Bros. Everybody, even people that don't even have anything to do with Nintendo anymore. Bring in Mickey Mouse, bring in Popeye, bring in Captain fucking N. I give up. This game is just jam-packed with content, and it's all just a huge collection of nostalgia. Super Smash Bros. Is a series about nostalgia, and you can add new things to it, but in the end, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, I remember playing this when I was young, and even though there's several generations of people playing it now, they're all playing with different characters, everybody's coming together in a current gen Nintendo console. And okay, this is Nintendo's crown achievement. I'm not sure Sakurai is ever going to make another Super Smash Bros. Now, because there's no way he's going to be able to top this. The next installment can only be a disappointment from this. I mean, what are they going to do? Add in 100 characters? Watch this space in 5 years and there'll be 100 Smash Bros. Characters. Number 2, the ultimate nostalgia trip. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And now for some honourable and dishonourable mentions just because I can! A Way Out. A Way Out is one of the most revolutionary two-player co-op games ever. It's just, you know, too bad you need 2 players for it. Red Dead Redemption 2. Didn't play it. God of War. Didn't play it. Spider-Man. Didn't play it. Hey, if this bothers you that they're not on the list because I didn't play them, somebody buy me a PlayStation 4, I'll play them, and then they're all going on the new list. Damn right! Hero U, Rogue to Redemption. I really like old school point-and-click games from the Share library, but this game is supposed to be like a spiritual successor to the Quest of Glory series, but it didn't have the same magic for me. I'm really sorry that this game didn't grab me by the ghoulies. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Even though I'm a big fan of the Pokemon RPG series, I am not the target demographic for these games. I'm happy they exist though, but they're not for me. Celeste. I was waiting for the physical release, which I'm getting later this year. Detroit Become Human. Haha, no. Okami. Yes, I've legit considered putting Okami, a PlayStation 2/Wii game, on the fucking list of my 2000 games of the year. Because you know what? This remake has had me playing it more than I've ever played it before. I'm nearly done with the game and it's still beautiful to look at. But you know what? Guilty conscious and all that. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Idem ditto, to be honest. Great game, looks perfect, but you know, not really 2018. Dragon Ball FighterZ. Everything I said about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate goes double as hard for Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. It's just my only downside is I'm not a huge fan of conventional fighting games. But this is just so much love put into this game. It could have been anybody's game of the year. I'm just sorry it's not mine. And on that note, it's number 1!
Yes, number 1.
Ich mach gerade meine Show.
Hi, we need to talk. Normally I don't like to get all sincere in these Here's 5 lists I make. I try to opt for a more boisterous bravado instead. And you'll notice that I'm not sitting in my usual chair. This is like the chair I have for guests if I have people over. Yeah, I sometimes have people over. And I'm not wearing the same clothes, seeing as this is like a week after I initially started working on this video. Remember when I said that Super Smash Bros. Is a series about nostalgia and catering towards that nostalgia? Yeah, so my number 1 game of this year, nobody else is going to have this. It isn't meaning to say that my choice is therefore better, even though it is. It's very much so rooted in my very sense of being. This is from my nostalgia. This is what is part of me. Like it's gestating in my juices. So yeah, I have to warn you, you're not gonna like it. Roll the video. Who's doing the editing? I'm doing the editing. Right.
Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Don't Dry. No, really, hang on. Let me explain. As far as physical age goes, I go quite a way back. One of my first computers that my family had was a 486, and I'm fairly sure for like 80% of the audience that might listen to this, that's just meaningless drivel, just a couple of numbers. But I discovered something glorious. Point-and-click games. Oh yes, point-and-click games. Even though my very first one was Monkey Island, well, it wasn't very long until I started getting into the Shera collection. Yeah, the same developer that I mentioned in regards to Hero U, Road to Redemption. But the problem is that once you start going into a specific company's entire library of games, at one point you're gonna run out of contemporary things. So I started going into their backlog and I started playing around with text parsers, you know, games where you had to type out your commands like get flask and no, you can't get you flask and jokes like that. Jokes! And unbeknownst to my parents, hi mum, hi dad, I managed to get into this series called Leisure Suit Larry. And what did that look like? Well, you can see it on screen right now. This was to the level I was willing to debase myself back in those days. And you know what? I wouldn't want it any other way. Thing was, it was an adult-oriented game, and it gave us a quiz beforehand about American pop culture that only certain people of a certain age would be able to remember. Like, who is O.J. Simpson? Oh, right. Leisure Suit Larry in the Land of the Lounge Lizards was a game about the sexual misadventures of a 40-year-old virgin in Lost Wages, California. And it was actually one of the most popular games that Shera Online put out. It got 6 sequels, a spin-off, a sequel to that spin-off, 2 remakes of the original game, and now we have Leisure Suit Larry Wet Dreams Don't Dry. Problem is though that when Larry was created, times were different, and I'm not gonna say like PC gone mad or like you can't make jokes about things anymore nowadays, but it's like, okay, think of Animal House, you know, the Belushi film.
Do you mind if we dance with your dates?
Shit like that just doesn't fly anymore. You can't put that in a film in 2019. Likewise with Larry, it's like certain jokes that were made in previous installments, they wouldn't gel that well with the current audience. So I was worried that the developer Crazy Bunch would not be able to create Larry in such a way that felt true to his comedic roots. And the worst of all is that they're Germans. Have you ever heard of a funny German? Yeah, well, haha, Leisure Suit Larry Wet Dreams Don't Dry is perfect. It's a perfect reinterpretation / quasi-sequel to the original Leisure Suit Larry. Yes, there are gay jokes, yes, there are sex jokes, yes, there are jokes that you're like, you wouldn't be able to tell your mum-in-law that, but it's never really at the cost of someone. It's always from a person. At least that's my perspective of it, and I'm just a very white, heterosexual Western European man. Thing is, this game is not brilliant, it's not terrific. There's like a sequence of puzzles that come together from branching paths and they culminate into a single bottleneck. And you're like, okay, so now I've done all these puzzles and I get to continue with the game. But then the game decides to give you one more quest to do. If you've ever heard of the terminology moon logic puzzle, that's here in full force. You have to think like the developer thinks at some point, and not just what seems the most logical answer at hand. If you don't know how to make a mustache out of cat hair in Gabriel Knight 3, or you have a monkey in your inventory in Monkey Island 2, The Chuck's Revenge, you will need a walkthrough or a guide. The animation, though, even though all the designs are pretty good, it's still kind of basic Flash level in a way. And that's not meant as an insult because the artists obviously have put some time into it. It's just that the general aesthetic is not something that you would think of when somebody puts this on the top of his Games of the Year list. But here's why it's on number 1 regardless. We now live in a day and age where we have our phones by our hand all the time. We can't stop checking that thing every couple of minutes. So many games are designed for short bursts of gameplay. See your Mario Odyssey, see your Breath of the Wild. But this game has managed to do something that nothing else has this year so far. It's managed to make me play a game on my laptop and not Alt-Tab or minimize the program in its entirety. Like, when I started playing this, I would not finish until I was like, oh shit, it's time to go to bed because I've got work in the morning at 1 AM. And yes, the comedy is not for everybody. And yes, the puzzle designs could use some work in some places. And maybe this is not the best game ever, but this is the most true sequel to a game that I've been playing since I was young. This is my nostalgia trip. This is, for me, my game of the year, 2018. I hate it, I love it, warts and all. Lazy Suit Larry, wet dreams don't dry.
You didn't like that, did you? It's because I took some stuff that you weren't expecting. Because, well, this is my list. I make videos. Have you made a video? You could have made videos. I don't care. If you don't blah something, bye.